Hello, class. Go ahead and pick up your bell ringer from the back board. It is the one that says, Back to School. We have a new type of bell ringer today. This is a revise and edit bell ringer. The first step is to find the 10 errors in the paragraph at the top. For example, in sentence number 1, September should be capitalized. Make the correction. In sentence 2, it is the wrong type of there. THEY''RE means they are, while THEIR means it belongs to them. So since the teachers belong to the students, you need to change the spelling. Okay, now find 8 more errors and then answer the multiple choice questions. Yes, they are formatted to look like the STAAR test. Yay, STAAR! I'm going to give you 10 minutes to do this one since it'll take a little bit longer. Feel free to use the dictionary. Okay, you should be done with that now. You will not do the back today. That is for next class period. One side only, the one that says back to school. Now, put those in your group binder. Today's objectives are: you will analyze a Score 4 essay for hook, thesis, transitions, examples, counterargument, and call to action by color coding. You will fill out a graphic organizer as a brainstorm for essay examples by discussing ideas with your group members. You will turn in essay number 7 and 8 and the help graphic organizer today. Don't forget to turn those two in. Materials Manager. Please get one of each from the handouts from the backboard for each group member. Everybody gets one. If you have 4 people in your group, get 4 handouts. One of essay number 5, one of essay number 7 and 8, and one help foldable per person. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that, and then I'm going to get started on the notes. We're going to analyze essay number 5 together. This is an actual Score 4 essay from 2014. So a student who graduated a couple years ago took this on their STAAR test. It's actually from PSJ North, so a student from North wrote it. Follow along and do as I do. Let's review the prompts so we know what the topic is. Write an essay stating your position on whether learning always has a positive effect on a person's life. First off, let's read the whole essay through. Learning is one of life's greatest pleasures. Without learning, we would not have many of today's luxuries, conveniences, technologies, or even civilization itself. However, obtaining new knowledge, otherwise known as learning, does not always have a positive effect. As the old saying goes, ignorance is bliss. This morning, I woke up psyched to take this exam. After checking my email, I discovered a letter from a summer program that I had applied to. Sadly, it was a rejection letter. Needless to say, my former enthusiasm has vanished, and all I want to do is sleep, eat ice cream, and watch Netflix. By learning of my failure, this has had an adverse effect on my day and will probably affect my test scores. Had I waited to check my email, had I waited to learn, perhaps things would be better. 6 months ago, I was having the time of my life with my girlfriend. Then I discovered she had been cheating on me with my best friend for the entirety of our relationship. And worst of all, I learned that my father is not really my father. I am adopted. In these situations, I would say learning is not a good thing. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is pain. It comes down to this. Do we sacrifice the comfort of our lives for the truth? Because that is what learning is, the truth. And the truth can be brutal. The truth destroys people's lives, ruins families, tears apart everything we once knew. So by extension, these things are the consequences of learning. To say that learning always has a positive effect on a person's life is preposterous. Yes, learning can have positive effects, but not always. Because, in the end, the more you learn, the more you know, and the more you know, the less you imagine. Without imagination, you lack hope, and without hope, you die. Please note that this essay was typed with all grammar and punctuation errors as submitted in the original document. So if you're noticing, a couple grammar, missing apostrophes or weird commas or whatever, that's how the actual person wrote it, and they still scored high. So you can see these Score 4 essays sometimes have little errors. Little errors are okay. Alright, now that we've read it and we know what it's about, we're going to start color coding. You're going to need these colors. You need pink for the hook, orange for the thesis, green for the logical example, purple for an emotional example, blue for transitions, brown for the counter argument, red for the call to action. So basically you need all the colors. You can use the markers or the colored pencils. You're going to have to share, and you're going to have to move quickly when you share. So get organized now. I'll give you a couple minutes. Alright, first let's highlight the hook pink. This hook is super interesting. He decided to place his counter-argument as his hook. Super inventive. Let's underline his counter-argument brown. Usually the counter-argument is in the conclusion. However, he starts with the positive side of his T-chart and then gives a reason and example and then moves over to his actual thesis, his position. When he adds the word however, that's how you know that he's going to transition. This is an important transition because it shows he's going to the central idea or thesis of his paper. Let's highlight his thesis orange. Remember that thesis is almost always the last sentence in the introduction. In this case, he adds an idiom at the end. This shows higher level thinking. Remember, any type of figurative language shows higher level thinking. It also works well for him. Let's go ahead and circle the transitions in blue. Next, we're going to look at his examples. His first entire body paragraph is all pathos, emotional appeal. He makes you feel really bad for him. He found out he was adopted, his girlfriend was cheating on him, he didn't get into his summer program. All that is emotional. So it's going to be purple. Instead of highlighting or underlining everything, just put a big purple box all the way around his first body paragraph. Then let's go back and circle the transitions in blue. Okay, last paragraph. Here's where he gets a bit logical. He starts out with this awesome anaphora statement. Knowledge is power, knowledge is pain. That is an effective persuasive strategy. Remember, anaphora is a rhetorical device. Then his entire paragraph goes into logic. Because this happens, the effect is this. Anytime you do that, that's a logical argument. He's got a bit more pathos in there with the ruins families and tears apart, but mainly he's using it in a logical way. So because this is logic, we're going to box the entire paragraph, or most of the paragraph, in green. Normally, your counterargument would only go here in the conclusion, but he was being creative and put it in the introduction as well as the conclusion. So let's box his counterargument here in brown again. Then he goes back and adds some more logic, which we'll box in green. So lastly is his call to action. This is specific to persuasive pieces. Your call to action is kind of like an advertisement, like you see on TV. Buy now for 99 cents. If you call now, you'll get 3 free. That type of thing. Your last line needs to be short, sweet, and to the point. You want your reader to say, yeah, that makes sense. I agree with the writer on this one. His is very powerful. Without imagination, you lack hope, and without hope, you die. Obviously, these are not grammatically correct sentences. They are, in fact, sentence fragments. However, that is his style. When you are that good of a writer, and he is, you can take liberties like that. His style is amazing. Let's underline his call to action in red. You might notice this paragraph lacks some transition words. He uses a lot of complex sentences. He also, like I said, has a style. This style is short, choppy sentences, and he's using them in a very effective way. He has them at the beginning of the paragraph, a couple in the middle, and then some more at the end. That's his style. Again, he's a good writer. He can do these things and they make sense. So, if you're like, why aren't there any transitions? It's because the way he formulated his sentences. So it is possible to not have transitions in a paragraph, but you have to be a really good writer to pull it off. Alright, so now you've totally color-coded the essay. You know what each piece is and how it works together to form an awesome persuasive essay. Hence the reason he got a score 4. So now you're going to do the same thing for essays 7 and 8. You're going to color-code them. Sometimes not all the elements will be there. Maybe they'll only have emotional appeals, or maybe only logical. They might be missing counterargument. They might be missing transition words, any of those things. But they are all score 4s from the 2014 test. When you are finished color coding, you are going to do some brainstorming. This part's easy. You have a foldable that says HELPP. That stands for history, entertainment, literature, people, meaning famous or imaginary people, either one is fine, and P, personal story. I put some examples on there to get you started. For example, something in history that you might write about would be World War II. Something in entertainment you might write about would be the upcoming movie Thor, Ragnarok. Kind of depends what you know, what you can pull from, what you can write about. So talk amongst your groups, come up with ideas. I want at least 10 in each box. This is per person. So your 10 might not match your group's 10, and that's fine. As long as you have 10 ideas in there, so when we start writing, you can pull from them, you'll be fine. Please remember, at the end of the period, you're going to turn in your 2 color-coded essays. That's number 7 and 8. It's only 1 paper. And you're going to turn in your help graphic organizer. The bell ringer and essay number 5 goes in your binder. Okay? So you're turning 2 papers into the sub.
When you first came to this school, we took you on account of a most entertaining essay you wrote about a parrot that belonged to your aunt.
Ah, yes, sir.
Since then, your progress has been disappointing. I have here your exam papers from this year. Let's take a look at the general paper, shall we? Question 1 was, write an essay about perseverance.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember how you began this essay, Suter?
No, sir.
Read this, it'll help.
General paper, final exam, T. Suter, autumn 1980. Subject, perseverance.
Yes, get on with it.
My aunt, who I live with, has a parrot called Perseverance. One day...
Yes, and you proceed to tell exactly the same story you told when you arrived at this school.
Yes, sir.
Here's a slightly different one. History, question 5.
What was notable about the late 50s?
And your answer? My aunt, who I live with, used to have a parrot called 50s, who is now dead. The most notable thing about the late 50s was his enormous appetite. And question 7.
Describe the South Sea bubble and its effect on investment.
Go on.
The South Sea bubble was a large goldfish, and its effects on investment, which was a parrot owned by my aunt, who I live with.
Suter! Do you think I am some sort of cretin? Do you think I haven't noticed? It's with whom I live. My aunt with whom I live, not who I live with.
Here's the color code again. You might want to pause it here and keep it up so that you can use it while you're color coding. Have fun!